Hey, my name is Chris. I live in Las Vegas, and I'm an ex-evangelical worship leader who used to practice witchcraft. So I'm trying to do this video really fast. I'm on my morning bike ride, and it looks like it's about to rain. So I thought it would be a great time to do a video and tell you guys a nice story on how after I left evangelical Christianity in my 20s, I started to explore different religions and different practices out there. And I used to do ghost hunting. I used to go to a Buddhist temple and do chanting. I've hung out with psychics and stuff like that, UFO cults. And the funnest, I'd have to say, in that search of myself and in my search of spirit would be the witches. Now, modern day pagans are very much doing the same practices that were going on several thousand years ago. And the funny thing is how they borrow and have inspiration from the past, and they're not that far off from what we know with what we've discovered in archaeology and anthropology. Now, in the ancient world, magic, or the idea of magic, the idea of calling upon a higher spirit in order to conjure up things in the material world, was very commonplace. And they equated things that we would call natural forces, or the forces of nature. They equated that to personalities, and they personified them as gods and goddesses. So they would have, I know in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, the ancient Orient in China and Tibet, as well as in the Celtic world in the West, they all had altars, or they all had totems of their past, whether it be gods that personified nature, or they would have altars or shrines to their ancestors to respect them. And as well as they would do ceremonies and pray and cast spells in order to ask for things to keep you going in this life. Now, modern day witches do the very same thing. They either call upon their ancestors or they take inspiration from the past, and they practice it in very much the same way, whether it be the use of wearing charms or using crystals or herbs in their rituals. The same stuff was going on 2000 to 3000, 4000 BC. And there's historical evidence for it. I'm a big fan of archaeology and anthropology. And I was in love with ancient Egypt and ancient Greece and ancient Rome, reading about those subjects as a child. And the fact that they did practice these things, and they did believe these things, and they did personify nature as gods. And funny enough, so did the Israelites. Now, I am gonna do a little ritual, or at least do magic, and show you exactly what witches do nowadays, or at least some witches do in their magical practices. I hope you think it's cute. So this is what you call a magic circle. Now, if you look back in ancient Mesopotamian, Sumerian, Egyptian, even in the medieval era, there's an art and the practice of magic where you draw a magic circle and you say your petitions and your spells inside of it, or you conjure up things inside of the spell or in the circle. Now, usually that's done with flour or salt, but this is a mixture of sugar and salt that I got at the pizza shop. Now, I was asked to throw out this sugar and salt, but I decided to keep it for an art project. Why do they want to throw it out? Somebody mixed up the sugar and salt, and it's kind of useless because you can't use it in the pizza dough. You don't know the measurement of each. But I'm just using it for an art project. Now, there's always a double reason why I do everything. The whole idea with the sugar and salt mix is I see a lot of wildlife out here. There's a lot of bunnies. There's a lot of coyotes. They would actually benefit from a sugar/salt lick. And honestly, I'm going to leave fruits out here too. The bunnies might like the fruits. There's also a water source right behind me. So if it's a little bit too much salty, they'll be safe. They'll be fine. But also, I'm drawing on sand. I'm not drawing on grass. I'm not trying to kill any vegetation. So this is just for demonstration purposes. I'm gonna finish my magic circle and then I'm gonna tell you the story about the witches. So this is my magic circle. There are 12 houses. There are the movements of the stars and the moon inside of it. I'm gonna line it with fruits and vegetables and cake as an offering to nature. Now, what I really loved about the witches, or at least the witches that I've met in covens in Las Vegas, is that they're really sweet, they're really welcoming. They love people, they love to party. And honestly, there's no other set that I would love to kick it with at the nightclub than witches. Now, one of the first witches I met in real life, and not just on some internet chat or some, oh, there's lightning, I gotta hurry, or some internet chat, was at the nightclub, and their name was EJ, and they invited me to go kick it with their coven. Let's see. Again, the fruit is for all of the animals around here. Purely symbolic, and what's funny is when a normal spectator walks along this, they will be shocked. So it's purely like as a gag and a joke. I'm really not conjuring anything. All right, a little cake. And it's funny because people don't really get that. When you blow out birthday candles, you are saying a wish, you are doing a ceremony to the goddess Diana. Back in the day in Greek and Roman times, you would put little moon cakes at the feet of the statue of the goddess Diana and light candles and ask for her petition for whatever's going on in your life. So, I just think it's rather funny that when we all blow out our birthday candles, it's to petition the goddess Diana. So, since I'm a fun-loving, hearty person who loves nature, I'm gonna make sure I clean up my mess as I leave. Anything that's not biodegradable. Oh, and by the way, I'm sweating like crazy because, dude, it's so humid out here. Now, I'm going to explain the elements of my circle, and then I'm going to tell you the story about the witches and the covens that I've met in Las Vegas, and how much I really, really love them. And I got lightning, dude. I got to hurry up this story. All right. That's right there. Now, obviously the fruits and vegetables. I put down cake. There's burning incense, which is always an offering to the spirits or the ancestors. I cut an apple in half and put it into the center because in the middle of an apple is a little star. So it's supposed to represent the sun, the moon, and the stars. One of my coworkers is a Christian believer, and she kind of proselytizes at my job, and I kind of don't appreciate it, but I'm still in my probationary period, so I'm like happy to smile and agree, which is, kind of how I handle my marriage as well. But anyway, she proselytizes at my job, and I just smile and agree because I used to be an evangelical, and I know the language very well. So she's talking about how our job is kind of a ministry and how we serve the homeless at the clinic. And she's talking about how God had given her a sign that she was doing the right kind of work with the clients that it came in on a specific day. Now, she had told me that a Mark had come into the building, right, to use our services. And then a Matthew came in, and then a John, and then a Daniel, a person named Daniel came in. And the funny thing is, like, she equated all of these people with biblical names as a sign that God was showing her something or trying to tell her and give her a message to say, hey, you're in the right place. And this is just a little sign. Now, of course, I nodded and smiled like an idiot, but this is America. And this is a Christian nation, or at least predominantly Christian nation. The last numbers I saw as far as people who identify as Christian would be, 55 to 60% of the population of the United States. And so you're going to have a lot of biblical names out there. If I pulled 10 random dudes off the street and I asked them their name, more than likely 6 out of 10 will be biblical names, like a John or a Matthew or a Luke or a Daniel or Jeremiah, maybe even a Uriah. The funny thing is, if you want me to believe past the probability of chance, find me random people on the street that are named Methuselah. Find me Nimrod. Find me, the Hezekiah. Find me those dudes. And then you tell me that, like, an Absalom. Find me an Absalom. By the way, it's raining and I gotta go. But honestly, the dangers of magical thinking, the dangers of equating everything to spirit, there are dangers, because superstition, just like religion, can take a dark turn. Even in the witchcraft world, when bad things happen to you, sometimes a lot of witches, they believe that forces are working against them. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things don't work out the way we planned. And the funny thing is, that's just how it goes. I hope everybody is happy and healthy and safe out there. Big hugs, health, and happiness from Las Vegas. I'm a happy ex-evangelical Christian who has experimented with different religions, but I'm happy and very, very stable in my life to believe in science and reason, and just appreciate all of the things that we've learned in the past.